Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel and to the believing Gentiles. My name is Brother Mark, and I wanted to come before the family today to bring forth an edifying message that the Most High Yah has placed forth on my spirit. Before we continue, though, let's give all honor, all glory, and praise to the Most High Yah and His only begotten Son. We're going to do this by reading Tefillah Yehovah, which is the Lord's Prayer. It can be found in Matthew, the 6th chapter, 9 through 13. So let's take a look. So we have Tefillah Yehovah. Avinu, Sheba Shemayim, Yikwada Shemeka, Tabu Malkuteka, Yeyase Rasonka, Keyashir, Keba Shemayim, Gamba Aretz, Te Lanu, Ed Lekum, Zarkenu Hayom, Umakau Lanu, Ed Kovotenu, Kamoshe Gam, Anachnu, Makaunu, Lehayavenu, Altavienu. L'day nisayon eli hatzalenu mehara kishokahi hamalkut wahagavora wahatafeda leomei olamin Bashem Yehoshua. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. So family, over the last few weeks, I've had a number of people from, the family reach out to me via email and has been asking me some questions about some things that are on their spirit and some things that they're having trouble with. I want to give a special Shabbat Shalom to the family that's reached out to me, Brother Eddie, Phyllis, Brother Dave, BNN. There's no name attached to that, so I hope you receive this Shalom. But I want to talk about something that Brother Eddie brought to my attention. Brother Eddie asked me, where do we start? For those of you who are at home studying on your own, who have come to the knowledge of the truth, the Most High Yah has opened our hearts to it, but we don't always know where we should go with this information, what we should do with the information, and how do we, I guess, decipher and use this knowledge wisely. So I want to kind of walk the family through a scenario and use this as a moment to help those like Brother Eddie and anybody else that may be struggling at this time of where to start. Okay, so family, one place you can start is, we all have social media. We all spend some form of time on it. We don't have to lie to ourselves about that. We're all on some form of social media at some point during the day. Now, what I tend to do is when I see something on social media, let's say Facebook, I see something that somebody posts, and I disagree with it, or I agree with it. But what we have to do is we have to take the next step after we agree or disagree with something, and that's the answer the question why. Why do we disagree with it, or why do we agree with it? Because I think it's 1 Peter 3:15 is we have to be able to give an answer to our faith. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and let's go there right now. Bear with me, family, as I get the scriptures set up. Hope everything's been well. I know there's been a lot going on in this country with transition of power, the continued divide between the people. I pray that everybody stays safe and that we're not taking any unnecessary risk out here, and we're staying safe and with our families and being wise to discern the things that are going on in these last days and times. Let me see, give me 1 second, family. Yeah, here it is. 1 Peter 3:15. First Peter 3:15. But sanctify Adonai Mashiach in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear. So as Paul wrote to us, we have to be ready and willing to give an answer to our faith. So it's one thing to come across a post and to disagree with it, but to not answer the question why would not answer the question of be ready to give an answer regarding your faith. It's not acceptable just to say, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with that statement. There needs to be a why. You can tell somebody you disagree with something or agree with a statement, but you have to tell them why. Many people are going to ask you why. They're not just going to be like, oh, we just disagree with me. Some people will. There's some people that get to that point where they have no reason to continue to explain if they don't feel like you believe them or are willing to listen. So you have to, as a believer in Yahushua, be ready to give a response to your faith. So we're going to take a look at a post that I saw. I'm going to share my reaction, and I'm going to walk you through the steps that the Most High gave to me in order to be edified and to be able to give forth an answer to defend my faith and to why I disagree with such a statement. So let's take a look at it. All right, family. So I wrote it down. This is a statement that I saw posted on social media, and we're going to read it. And I'm going to talk to you about my thought process on it and how I went about discerning. It's no coincidence Jesus said, "We are the light of the world." That statement was no metaphor either. If we don't shine and the world becomes dark, we don't get to blame darkness for being dark. So as you can imagine, family, I disagree with that statement wholeheartedly. But we have to ask ourselves, why do I disagree with it? And I'm going to bring forth the support and the scriptures to prove why I disagree with it. So when you're on social media and you're seeing a post like this, immediately, instantly, I had a very visceral reaction within my ruach that this statement is not right and that it's even anti-Messiah and anti-Israel. And I'm going to explain my rationale behind that, because I'm not just simply saying I disagree with this statement. I'm going to take it that step further, and I'm going to explain to you, the family, why I disagree with it, so that when you are at home and when you are on social media or at work or anywhere where these things can come up, and you see something you agree or disagree with, you'll be able to answer why. We have to stop stopping at I disagree and explaining the step further on why I agree or why I disagree. So we're going to look at the statement one more time, and then I'm going to begin to walk you through my process. All right. It says, it's no coincidence Jesus said, "We are the light of the world." That statement was no metaphor either. If we don't shine and the world becomes dark, we don't get to blame darkness for being dark. So family, I want to focus on the beginning of this statement first, where it says, Jesus said, "We are the light of the world." So I have a very simple question to propose to the family. Who is the light of the world? Because we have this gentleman saying the light of the world is man. But I know some scriptures that say the light of the world is who? Our Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach. So let's go ahead and go to that. Go to John, St. John, Yochanan, the 8th chapter, and we're going to go to verse 12. Yochanan 8 and 12. Then spake Yahushua again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. Let's read it again, family. John chapter 8, verse 12. Then spake Yahushua again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. So as we can see here, family, Yahushua is saying, I am the light of the world. And anybody that follows Yahushua will not be in darkness, but will receive the light of life, because that light is coming from him. So he's saying, I am the light of the world, and those that follow after me will not have to worry about walking in darkness, because my light will shine forth for you to see and you to be able to walk in that light. Okay? So that was the first scripture I went to after reading this post and determining what they were saying was false. Well, why was it false? It's false because Yahushua says, I am the light of the world. Right? I am the light of the world. Seems pretty self-explanatory. But sometimes you have to think about the mindset of the person that wrote the statement that you disagree with. Because I was like, they got that from somewhere. Where did they get it from? Let's go to Matthew 5, family. Matthew 5. Matthew 5. All right, family. Matthew 5. And we're going to read verses 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. So Yahushua, during the Sermon on the Mount, is addressing his disciples, and he says to them, ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. So now I know many people may be kind of scratching their heads and saying, well, does that contradict what Yahushua said in John 8 and 12? No, it doesn't. Why it doesn't is simply this. Yahushua is saying to his disciples that follow after him and that are about to go into the world and preach the gospel. He's saying to them, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. It's very important to read the second part of that verse, which is a city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Well, a city will receive their light from somewhere else. They are not the original source of the light, which goes back to the point of John 8 and 12. Bear with me, family. John 8 and 12 says, then spake Yahushua unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. That's exactly what he's conveying to his disciples, because they are followers of him, and he is the light of the world. His light is rubbing off on them, therefore, he is giving them their light so that they can be that city on a hill that cannot be hid. Because that city is not the source of the light. It receives its light from somewhere else. Yahushua HaMashiach. He is the light of the world, and those that follow after him shall walk in that light of life. Verse 15 gives a further explanation. Neither the men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a menorah, and giveth light unto all that are in the house. So just as we light candles so that we can see, Yahushua is lighting his disciples to be candles for the world, so that they may be the what? The light of the world, because they have received their light from him. Okay? So now, that statement, we mentioned it earlier, is anti-Mashiach and anti-Israel. And let's talk about how that is. So we're going to go back to John 8 and 12, right? Let's deal with the first thing being anti-Mashiach. So if we look again at verse 12, it says, then spake Yahushua again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. So if you are trying to say that you are the light of the world, then in turn you are saying what? That I am Mashiach. Because we know that by ourselves we are actually not the light of the world. By ourselves. Yahushua is the source of the light. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. So if you as a man, as a person, believe that you are the light of the world, alone, without giving honor and glory and recognition to Yahushua HaMashiach, well, then you're being anti-messianic. You're being anti-Mashiach. And then when we flip back to Matthew, the 5th chapter and verse 14, ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Now you are being anti-Israel, because if you're saying that this is what applies to you, then you are saying that you are Yisrael, you are Israel. You are the chosen people of the Most High. So that's why these type of statements are problematic, family.